Hi everyone, my name is Ms.Gan. Today I'll be discussing from Selangor State Paper Set 1, Module Pintas 2024. Okay, let's begin. Diagram 1 shows a method to manage biological waste. So there's a biohazard waste. After put into the bag, the waste will be freeze. What is the waste? Okay, so for this waste, where you need to freeze it, normally is used for animal carcasses. Okay, so animal carcasses is normally frozen before discarded. So the answer is C. Okay, let's look at question 2. Diagram 2 show a type of protozoa. Okay, this protozoa, you all know this is amoeba. What's the type of reproduction carried out by the protozoa? So protozoa carry out binary fission. In this picture, you can see that the amoeba has undergone mitosis to divide to become two cells. Okay, so it's called binary fission, right? Okay, let's look at question 3. Diagram 3 show one of the system in human. What is the role of the system? Okay, so you can see here is showing integumentary system. So integumentary system is involved in regulation of body temperature. So integumentary system is actually our skin, the organ skin. So skin is involved in regulating body temperature. So the answer is D, yeah. Okay. Next, question 4. Diagram 4 shows the transport of substances across the plasma membrane. Which of the following substrate is involved? Okay, so you can see the ATP molecule is involved and that the transport of substance is from low concentration to high concentration. So it's against the concentration gradient. So and it requires a carrier protein. So this is a carrier protein. Now for a transport that needs carrier protein and involve ATP energy, the option of answer given here, the only one that is correct is amino acid. Amino acid is transported with the help of a carrier protein. Okay, so answer is C. Question 5. Diagram 5 show chemical reaction that involve disaccharide. So this is a disaccharide. You can see that this is mono disaccharide plus water here means it's a hydrolysis process, and the disaccharide is hydrolyzed into two monosaccharide. So what is process Z? Okay, so process Z is hydrolysis because it involves water, right? So the answer is B. Okay, next, question 6. Okay. Diagram 6 show an experiment to study the action of pepsin on protein. The content of the test tube are a mixture of 2 ml of albumin suspension which has been boiled and cooled, 1 ml of 1% pepsin solution, and 4 drops of 0.1 molar hydrochloric acid. The albumin solution turns clear after 30 minutes. Which of the following step is able to reduce the time taken for the albumin suspension to turn clear? Okay, so you can see here that what is required for the hydrolysis of albumin is pepsin and hydrochloric acid. So to speed up, okay, to reduce the time taken would mean to speed up the process. So to speed up the process is either you increase the concentration of enzyme, or you reduce the volume of the substrate, which is the albumin. So the pepsin, if it's increased, pepsin is the enzyme. If you increase the concentration of the enzyme, you are going to reduce the time taken, because the factors that affect activity of enzyme are pH, temperature, concentration of enzyme, and concentration of substrate. So in this case here, concentration of enzyme, if it's increased, time taken will be reduced. Now, the rest of the option of the answer is incorrect. The suitable temperature for the hydrolysis is 37 degrees Celsius, and then the substrate should be lessened, and the hydrochloric acid is required for the hydrolysis, so you cannot reduce the volume. Okay, next. Which of the following immobilized enzyme is suitable to be used to remove fur from animal hide to make leather shoe? Now, immobilized enzyme are enzymes that we combine with inert, insoluble substance. Okay, inert, inert, insoluble substance, such as alginate beads. Okay, so the enzyme will be immobilized, meaning it will stay put, it will not move to hydrolyze the substrate. So the one that is suitable to remove fur is trypsin. Trypsin is an enzyme for substrate protein. So here the answer is A, 7A. Okay, number 8. Diagram 7 show one stage during meiosis. What is the stage? Okay, so here you can see that these are sister chromatid already separated and being pulled to the opposite pole. So since it's sister chromatid, so it's anaphase 2. Okay, next, question 9. Which of the following is a characteristic of benign tumor? Now, a benign tumor is a tumor that has not spread, okay? It has not spread to the neighboring cell or to other cell in other organ. A malignant tumor is a tumor that have spread to other organ through the lymphatic system and the blood circulatory system. So a benign tumor is not dangerous because it has not spread across to any other organ. Okay, next. Diagram 8 shows skin grafting, which is a type of surgery involving the transplantation of skin. The transplanted tissue is called a skin graft. Skin grafting is often used to treat extensive wounds of trauma such as burn. So skin graft here is the you take skin from other parts of the body to put onto the wound so that it can heal the wound faster. Which process is important for the success of the surgery? Okay, so in this case here, the skin graft will divide by mitosis so that the skin will grow, new skin cell will grow to heal the wound. So the process is mitosis. Okay, question 11. Diagram 9 show a type of plant in waterlogged area. So what is the product of cellular respiration that occur in the root cell of the plant? Now, for this plant that live in a waterlogged area, the condition, surrounding condition is usually anaerobe, which means that it lack oxygen. Okay, so an anaerobe condition will result in the paddy. This is a paddy to undergo ethanol fermentation or alcohol fermentation. So alcohol fermentation will produce ethanol, carbon dioxide, and energy. Okay, next question 12. Diagram 10 show parts of the tracheal system of the insect. What is the adaptation of structure X for efficient gases exchange? Now, X is the tracheal. Okay, so a tracheal has a blunt end, and normally it has moisture at the tip of tracheal, so that when oxygen diffuses into the tracheal, it will dissolve in the moisture before diffusing into the cell. So the adaptation here is that it has a moist surface. Now, definitely it does not have a thick membrane. It has a thin membrane. The tracheal is not strengthened by chitin. Chitin is only found at the trachea. Okay, this is the trachea here, and insect does not have blood capillary. So answer is A. Yeah? Okay, next 13. Diagram 11 show the structure found in the ileum. Which of the following is the effect on the function of ileum if structure Q is damaged by viral infection? So you know ileum is involved in absorption of nutrient. Okay, so if it is damaged by viral infection, that means the absorption of digested food will be affected. Okay, question 14. Which of the following is a long-term side effect in an individual that has performed gastric bypass? Now, gastric bypass is the removal of part of the stomach so that it bypass a larger portion of the stomach, and the size of the stomach is made into a small sac that is connected to the duodenum. So the size of the stomach becomes smaller. Since that the size of the stomach becomes smaller, so the person will reduce its intake of food, so that will help the person to lose weight. However, he will suffer from a lot of side effects. So therefore, the long-term side effect for an individual that has performed gastric bypass is malnutrition. Now, the short-term effect would be reflux, acid reflux, risk of infection, and expanded esophagus, right? So answer here is A. Okay, 15. Diagram 12 show one of the stages in the pumping of the heart. Okay, which of the following statement is correct about the stage? So you can see here that the ventricle is contracting. So since the ventricle is contracting, therefore the both walls of the ventricle contract simultaneously. Now, if electrical impulse just reach the atrioventricular, you would have to take time to spread towards the bundle of His, bundle branches, and Purkinje fiber before the ventricle contracts. So A is not the answer. And C and D, sinoatrial is found on the right atrium. So once it starts generating, then only both atria contract. But here, we don't see the atria contracting. So answer is B, yeah? Okay, next question, 16. What is the suitable treatment given to mother that has been pregnant with erythroblastosis fetalis baby? Erythroblastosis fetalis baby are baby who red blood cell has undergone breakdown, and this is because the mother who is Rh positive. Okay, sorry, the mother is Rh negative, the fetus is Rh positive. So the fetus fragment of red blood cell may enter into the mother blood circulatory system, and that trigger the mother to produce an antibody against the antigen D. Okay, Rh positive is antigen D. So the mother produce an antibody against the antigen D in the fetus, and that cause erythroblastosis fetalis. So in order to stop this from happening, the best treatment is to give anti-rhesus globulin, which is an anti to the antibody, so that the antibody can be destroyed and will not diffuse across the placenta to destroy the baby red blood cell. Okay, so 16 is D. A female student has been given a HPV vaccination. What is the type of immunity acquired by the student? So the type of immunity is artificial active immunity, because it's a vaccination that contains vaccine. Vaccine is a suspension that contains weakened pathogen, so it will stimulate the lymphocyte to produce antibody. And therefore, this is called active immunity. And since the body did not produce the antibody itself, so it's called artificial active immunity. Question 18. Which of the following receptor detect pain? So this student has fell down from and injured his leg. So the leg is painful. So the receptor that detect pain is nociceptor. Baroreceptor detect changes in pressure. Chemoreceptor is actually to detect changes in chemical, like for example, the change in carbon dioxide content. Okay. And then the last one is mechanoreceptor. Mechanoreceptor is to detect touch, stretch, motion, and sound. Okay, so the answer is B, yeah. Okay, 19. The following information is about symptom of myxedema in individual X. The person has slow heartbeat rate, tendency to gain weight, low body temperature. Now, the hormone that is not secreted by the endocrine gland of this individual is thyroxine, because thyroxine is responsible for heartbeat rate. Okay, so the lack of thyroxine will result in low metabolic rate. So the low metabolic rate will result in a person gaining weight easily. Okay, so the answer is B. Insulin is of course involved in the conversion of glucose into glucagon. Okay, and adrenaline is for flight and flight. Sorry, glycogen. And then ADH is for the reabsorption of water. And adrenaline is for fight or flight. Yeah. Okay, next. Shows the process of ultrafiltration that takes place in K. What are the substances found in glomerular filtrate? Now, the glomerular filtrate is the filtrate that contained after the process of ultrafiltration. Now, ultrafiltration will not have plasma protein, platelet, and red blood cell, because these three are too large to pass through the blood capillary as well as the Bowman's capsule. So the blood capillary is, the pores of the blood capillary is too small for these three substances to pass through, so to diffuse through. So this glomerular filtrate will not have these three substances, yeah. So answer is B. Which of the following steps should be taken to prevent rickets and osteomalacia? Rickets and osteomalacia are caused by soft bone. Rickets are common among young children, and osteomalacia is common among pregnant women. So one way to overcome this is to drink a lot of milk, because milk contain a lot of phosphorus, calcium, and vitamin D, which helps in um, strengthening the bone. Okay, so answer is A. Okay, next. Diagram 14 show the process of oogenesis. What is structure X? Now, X here is Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle is the follicle before the process of ovulation occur. The ovulation causes Graafian follicle will rupture to release out the secondary oocyte. Okay, so answer is A. Okay, we'll continue with question 23. Diagram 15 shows the position of fetus in uterus. What is the importance of structure P in the development of fetus? So structure P is the placenta. Placenta is involved in secreting progesterone, which helps to maintain the thickness of the endometrium wall throughout the pregnancy. Question 24. Diagram 16 shows the growth curve of a type of crop. Which of the following statement is correct about the growth curve at phase J? Now, at phase J is the second year of the growth curve of this plant. This plant is a biennial crop. That means it takes 2 years to complete its growth cycle. The first year, they will grow their vegetative part, and in the second year, they will grow fruits, flower, and seeds. So the plant will produce fruits in the second year, and then after that, the plant will die. So the store food is used to produce seeds and flowers in the second year. Okay, diagram 17 show water droplets form on the leaf during a cool and humid night. So the water droplets are seen to exude out from the hydatodes that is found on the leaf. So the importance of this process is to maintain the root pressure so that it will occur effectively, because during the cool and humid night, transpiration does not occur. As a result, root pressure continue to occur in order for the absorption of water and mineral ion to be continued throughout the night. So the excess water is then secreted out through the hydatodes. Question 26 shows a type of plant that acts as a hyper accumulator to absorb heavy metals in polluted river. So what is the role of this plant to overcome the pollution? Now this plant is used as a plant that can absorb heavy metal. Is used to treat polluted river. So the process name is called phytoremediation. Question 27. Diagram 19 shows the development of fruit in plant. Which structure in the flower will develop to form zec? Now zec is the fruit, so fruit comes from the ovary. The ovule will form seed, the zygote will form embryo, and the embryo obtained is food from the endosperm nucleus. Okay, diagram 20 show a type of plant that live in a habitat. So this habitat is a desert. The plant that live in this habitat are called xerophytes. Now the xerophyte have very long roots that grow extensively to penetrate deep into the soil to absorb water. Now for plants that have pneumatophore or lenticels, these are usually found in the mangrove swamp, the mangrove trees, or the halophytes have this type of characteristic. So for xerophyte, they have extensive root to absorb water deep into the soil. Okay, diagram 21 showed a homologous structure of four limb in different organisms. So there are four types of four limb here. What is the conclusion obtained from the homologous structure of the four limb? Now, the homologous structure are used in phylogenetic classification. Phylogenetic classification classify the organism according to their ancestors, the similarity that they share, and it also shows the evolution history and the evolution connection in these various species. So the answer is D. Okay, question 30. Now, question 30 is about Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is a fungi. What is the characteristic of a fungi? Now, fungi have hyphae, which form network of mycelium. Fungi do not have flagellum. They don't have capsid. Capsid is found in virus, and plasmid is found in bacteria. Okay, 31. What is bacteria P and Q? So you can see that bacteria P convert nitrate into nitrogen, and the Q convert nitrogen into ammonium compound and then into nitrate. So therefore, bacteria P is a denitrifying bacteria because it converts the nitrate into nitrogen, and the leguminous plant contain rhizobium species that convert nitrogen into nitrate. So the answer is A. Question 32. Which of the following organism is the vector for bacteria Vibrio cholerae that causes diarrhea and stomach ache in human? Vibrio cholerae causes cholera that result in diarrhea and stomach ache. Vibrio cholerae is transmitted by the vector flies. Okay, fly is the vector that transmit Vibrio cholerae. Okay, so the answer is B. 33. Diagram 23 show a type of biomass pyramid for the forest ecosystem. So you can see that the mass is decreasing. So since it's showing mass, therefore B is the answer. Dry mass increases as descending the pyramid. So we can see that as we descend the pyramid, the mass of the organism increases. Now, the energy decreases actually as ascending the pyramid. Number of organism increases as descending the pyramid, and the size of organism actually increases when it ascends the pyramid. Question 34 show a population distribution pattern. So we can see that these organisms are found to be together and they are separated from other group So this is called a group of organisms that form separate group. Okay, 35 shows an interaction by organism. This is between barnacle and crab. Barnacle live on top of the crab. Barnacle obtain benefit by getting free transport from the crab, and the crab does not gain or lose from this interaction. Therefore, this interaction is called commensalism, because in commensalism, one organism benefit while the other organism does not benefit, neither does it lose in the interaction. Question 36. Which of the following practices contribute towards environmental sustainability? Okay, the use of geothermal energy is the use of a renewable energy. So it's a sustainable energy. And the application of biological control is also a method that contribute towards environmental sustainability. So the answer is 1 and 3. Okay, diagram 26 shows a schematic diagram of the sex determination of a child from a couple. So the couple here has a son. Okay, S is a male. So for male, the chromosome, the number of chromosome here is 44 plus X, Y. So the mother is 44 plus XX and the father is 44 plus XY. So each of these is 22 plus Y here, and this is 22 plus X. So the fertilization between the 22 plus Y gamete and the 22 plus X gamete produces the son who is 44 plus XY. So the answer for 37 is B. Okay, diagram 27 shows a type of chromosomal mutation. So you can see that the gene break off, segment of the chromosome break off, but then it join at again, but on a different homologous chromosome, on a different homologous chromosome. So this type of mutation is called translocation. Okay, translocation. So you can see Q has rejoined, Q and R has rejoined on the DE segment of chromosome. Diagram 28 shows variation in Biston betularia morph. Biston betularia morph, there are two types. One is dark, the other one is gray. The factors that causes this variation is environmental and genetic factor. When the environment turns dark because of polluted air, the gray will become darker in color so that they camouflage with the background surrounding, so they are less likely to be eaten by predator. And when the environment is clean, no pollution, then the Biston betularia that is gray in color there will be more compared to the dark, because the white or the gray camouflage with the surrounding. Question 40. Diagram 29 shows the application of a technology that involves gene. So we can see here that this technique is genetic engineering, in which the plasmid is taken out and inserted with a selected gene. So the method is only used for producing hepatitis B vaccine, as well as producing insulin for human usage commercially. So the answer is 1 and 3. Now, the cloning of plants in large quantity is actually carried out through tissue culture, while the identifying of criminal using DNA extracted from blood sample is actually DNA profiling. Okay, with that, I end today's session, and I wish to see you again in the next session. Till then, bye.